Hello everyone. This is Crystal with Fit to Overcome, and I wanted to come on here and share a little bit of wisdom from me to you in hopes that could I have had the opportunity to share this with myself when I was younger, I absolutely would have. And I wanted to come on and share it in case you're in a position where you could benefit from this wisdom, right? So I'm going to share 10 things. I'm not going to go into too much depth. I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet. But if you need me to elaborate, or if you really don't understand what it means whenever I share it, then just feel free to ask. I want to encourage you guys to just go ahead and drop a number 1 if you're on live, and a number 2 if you're catching the replay of this. I'm going to definitely post it so you can share it if you feel like it could bring value to other people that you know. So I'm sharing 10 things, 10 learnings that I would have told my younger self if I had the opportunity to, right? So the first one is going to be the reminder that you are in control of how your story ends. And this is really a reminder when you're frustrated, whenever you're in a situation where you just feel like you can't control the situation, even though you're just in a flustered mode where you feel that way, right? At the end of the day, you got to know that there's always something you can do, whether you decide to take an action or to actually not take action at all, which is still making a decision, right? And so you are in control of how your story ends. And to me, this has been vital because I started working for a huge corporation at a very young age. I started working for a Fortune 500 company at age 15, and I really had to work to get the respect that I wanted as a professional who was very young. And so, for me, it was always that reminder that I decide how the story ends. I decide how much effort I put in. I decide if I quit. I decide if I can fix my attitude, fix my face. I decide how the story ends, because with my work ethic, I always feel like I am completely unstoppable. Like there's no one that can stop me but me. Right? And so I want to remind you of that too, that you are in control of how your story ends. That's number 1. Number 2 is hurt is 100% real. However, healing is a choice. And so I know that in our lifetime, there are people who can be really ugly out of anger, out of bitterness, out of just ugly. Hurt people tend to hurt other people because they can't help but to react in that way. And so I want to remind you that it is your choice to heal from that pain or to allow it to cripple you. And so, I even have a tattoo on my back, my very first tattoo, you guys, that says, "My strength is in my beauty." And I got it specifically on my spine because I feel like your spine either cripples you or aligns you. And so to me, that tattoo meant that every difficult thing, every hard circumstance and situation that I have been through, I have done my utmost best to come out a better person because of it, so that I wouldn't be crippled by it, but I would be strengthened by it, and I would be even more aligned in my truth of becoming who I'm destined to be, right? So every single thing that I've been through and everything that you've been through have positioned you in a place of victory, because it has positioned you in a place to be able to overcome. And so I hope you caught that. It's placed you in a position of victory because it's placed you in a position of adversity that allows you to conquer and overcome. And so to many, they may not see it that way. They might see it as, my life has been so hard, I'm so bitter, I've been through all of these things. But really, truly, that hurt is so real, and I will always vouch for it. I will always hug you for it. I will always cry with you about it. But I will also remind you that your healing is real too, and your healing is totally up to you. All right, so number 3, learn from the good and learn from the bad. I basically call it chewing the meat and spitting out the bone. So, if you guys haven't followed me for a long time, I, at one point in my life, was very involved in church, to the point that I became a youth leader, then I became a youth pastor, and I went through some things that I have felt now where I can be in a position to where I can take the meat and I can spit out the unnecessary, and so I will always be grateful for anyone who pours wisdom into me, but I'm also very careful of how much I receive of it, because you just don't know people's intentions. You don't know where they're coming from. And then also, it doesn't necessarily apply to you, you know? So always chew the meat, take the good and leave the bad, and let people do and deal with whatever bad they have going on, but don't let it consume you, right? So because of that, I can now go back into a church, even though I've been through a lot of stuff with the church, and I can chew the meat and spit out the bone. Number 4, be grateful for the bad. It has created you into who you needed to be today. And so for many people, they may find a lot of anger, angst, a lot of resentment, a lot of really negative feelings of hurt, you know, feeling that this should not have ever happened to them. But I basically want to remind you that in every negative situation, you can find the gratitude in it. And so, like, if you've been following me for a while, I talk a lot about how my real dad isn't in the picture, and a lot of people would have anger towards that. And I'm sure I've had seasons where I felt, you know, all the feelings, right? But in the healing process, I've learned to be grateful for it, because it's allowed me to be extremely independent. Like, that is one of the largest blessings I think I could have ever gotten as a gift. And so in the gift of his absence, I've learned so much to rely on me becoming who I want to be, becoming who I want to achieve what goal, because I've become so independent, you know? And so I think that in every negative situation, you can always find something to be grateful for. The next one is going to be, there is power in sharing your less proud moments, your struggles, and your past. And you guys can see that I'm kind of sharing it as I'm talking to you about these specific things, right? But for number 5, really, it just talks about how so many of us are afraid to share our ugly mistakes, our ugly moments, our ugly circumstances, and not show people the process. So I will be like one of the first to tell you, as an entrepreneur, that it's not all glamorous, that this stuff is super hard. There are moments that you feel like a complete failure, that you feel like, what is wrong with me? How come these people don't want to like do what I do? How can I motivate these people to comprehend like the beauty of the power of this business? Or how can I really like expand myself? Like, where am I failing? Like, you always have these down moments, and then you have these amazing peaks, and then you have another valley. And so it's so important that you remember that there's power in those less moments, because it keeps you humble. It allows you to share that when you have someone who's going through it as well. And then it also allows you to basically have a story of bringing hope and light into other people. And so there's so much power in that. And I feel like a lot of us shy away from sharing those things, kind of like the Instagram thing. Only people show their highlights, but there's so much more depth when you can be vulnerable and really, really share with people what you're going through and how you're getting through it and what you're learning from it. And so I hope to be one of those people with you guys that's always transparent, that always brings value to you by showing you like what I've been through, what I'm going through, and what my heart is destined to go towards, right? The next thing is going to be, we're on number 7. No is a complete sentence. You're not required to explain yourself to everyone, and you shouldn't have to. So I think the more that we mature, the more that we feel obligated to do the mature thing or to do the responsible thing. But sometimes you don't have to explain yourself, like even to family, even sometimes to your mom, even sometimes to someone that you may admire, that you feel like, I really don't want to go into depth about my reasoning behind my decision to say no or my decision to say yes. And you got to know that your no is fine. Like, you are responsible for your joy. You're responsible for your life. You're responsible for your decisions to keep your peace and to keep your balance and to keep your sanity, and your mental health is so important. It's a huge thing in self-care. And so no is okay. Like, no, period. Nothing else added, you know? So give yourself permission to be able to do that, because I know a lot of us always feel the obligation to say more, and honestly, you owe no one an explanation for your reasoning. The next one is going to be number 8. Accept your lemons and leave them... Sorry, I think I typed it wrong. No. I did type it right. Accept your limits and leave them in wonder of how you turned it into wine. So to me, this is huge because I feel like minorities or women are always going to have this like glass ceiling that we have to shatter through. And pretty much is like understanding that you were dealt these cards and embracing the fact that it may not be easy to get to where you want to go, but it's not impossible. So always like accept where you're from and not be without pride of it, but really have this understanding of I may have come from here, but this isn't where I'm leaving or staying. I'm destined for so much more, and give yourself permission to make that wine and leave everyone in shock of how you did it, but also to be that story that ignites hope and inspiration in other people who are just like you, right? So it's like, yes, I have these limits, but now watch me make this wine. And so that's really what I meant when I wrote that. And then number 9 is being true to yourself. Stay true to yourself. People are going to try to make you more like them or more less of what you truly are sometimes, but it's so important that you stick to your truths of integrity, of character, of your principles. If your mom would not approve of it, you probably should think twice about it, right? And so really sticking to your guns of your beliefs. Like, are you willing to die on this sword for the things that you do, that you're doing today, and that you continue to let come out of your mouth, let come out of the steps that you take, right? And if you're not, then it's okay. Like, reshift your focus, go back to being grounded and centered, and just be authentically yourself, because you will be pulled in different situations where people will want to make you more like something or less of what you truly are. So for example, like, never let someone tell you that you need to tone it down, or that you shouldn't be like this, or that's too sexy, or that's too frumpy, or that's too outvoiced. Just be yourself, because I promise you, like, you were created for a specific purpose, and if you don't stick to your true self, you might miss out on that, right? And then number 10 is always look at the weird person and remind yourself of this. You don't know her story, and it'll remind you not to judge, because we never know where people are coming from. We never know what people have gone through. We never know what circumstance they're coming out of, but I can guarantee you that in every point right now in life, we're either going through something, we're getting through something, or we're about to enter into something, and you would hate for someone to judge you in your season of like complete chaos, right? So give people grace as you would want them to give you grace, and give people kindness as you would want them to give you kindness in those seasons. And I know that we all are at one point completely unlovable because we are just a hot mess express. And so that's where I want to just remind you to love on people even when they least deserve it, because that can truly create such a beautiful ripple effect. And so I just want to end with that. Those were 10 things I wish I would have been able to tell myself as I was growing up, so I could have matured faster and just like experience life a whole different way, a whole lot quicker. If there's anything that you would add below, please put it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, then let me know. I hope you guys have an amazing night.